This is Jazzy Lady back with another video. I just wanted to share my thoughts on the whole uh, Britney Spears, Victor, and I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing his last name right, Victor. I'll just say Victor W. How's that? Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama, I think is his last name. But we'll call him Victor W. Right for me able to say it quickly. Anyway, um, I'll say this. First of all, I'm looking at his birth date. Okay, so he was born in 2004. And the reason I think that that's relevant is because I think for some of us that are a little obviously older than him, we feel like, oh my goodness, it's Britney Spears, because there is a generation of us that knows her very well, that kind of was used to her for a while. About 20 years ago, a little bit further out, late 90s, maybe through the early 2000s, Britney Spears was extremely popular, okay? To the point where there was a show on MTV, and they did this with a few different celebrities, okay? It was called When This Celebrity Ruled the World, right? And they would have, celebrity when they were really big at their height. And they actually had one called When Britney Spears Ruled the World. It was actually a special that they had, and it was very interesting. They actually only showed it about 10 years ago, and it might have been on VH1, and they went back to the early 2000s and they said When Britney Spears Ruled the World. And I thought that was kind of like appropriate, because it sort of seemed like at the time she kind of did rule the world, right? And so for someone that's born maybe in 2004 and is what they would be, 19 years old now, even if Victor's parents know who she is, and I'm sure they do, it doesn't mean he knows who she is necessarily, okay, or has listened to really any of her music. He may not be fully aware of her, okay? And I think he's probably heard of her possibly, but again, if you're 19 years old, you may not really be that familiar with Britney Spears. And again, I know that's hard for some of us because we can't imagine that, but you have to remember there's a whole new generation of people here that they don't really know much about her, okay? So with this situation, I think there's kind of a lesson to be learned for both. I looked at the video, and from what I could see, the first thing I did think is, oh yeah, he definitely kind of backhanded, the security guard backhanded her. Now, here's the thing. I don't think he was trying to. I think he was maybe trying to push her away. The problem is he barely looked. So it popped her so hard, I think it made her hand hit her face, kind of. And I think she thought he hit her in the face. I don't know what he was trying to do, push her away. I'm not sure. Again, it looked like he kind of just pushed his hand back. It's almost like when you push your hand back, it's like wherever it lands, right? When you have a disregard for someone and you kind of just push your hand like, yep, if I happen to hit you, I happen to hit you. It's almost like he was thinking, wherever my hand lands is where it lands. Do I think he was intentionally trying to mush Britney Spears in the face? No. Do I think he gave a shit if he did mush her in the face? Nope. I don't think he cared one way or another. And also, I don't think he realized it was Britney Spears. I just think he was just going straight ahead and not looking. And that's the second issue, as I just thought about this. That security guard, he didn't really look at really who it was. In fact, I'm not even sure if he knew it was a male or a female. Maybe he did. Maybe by her height, he might have took a quick glance, because trained security is probably, I'm sure, trained to survey a situation quickly. Maybe he did realize that it was a woman by the height, and maybe by her voice, because she was sort of saying, hey, a little bit. She was sort of trying. I think she might have said hi or something. So a few times, I think he heard a female voice. He probably assumed it was a woman. So he might have known that much, but I don't think he knew much more, again, or cared, because if he cared, he would have did a complete, 180 and turned around and looked at her, which I never saw the bodyguard actually make eye contact with her. The issue is, what if it would have been like a family member of Victor's? I just thought about that. It could have been a cousin of his that maybe lived, or something, or someone that just knows him well, and they just kind of came up. Because technically, if you don't look at who you're kind of pushing out of the way for someone, you don't know who they are. You need to kind of take a quick look at who you are actually interacting with. I don't think the bodyguard looked at who he was interacting with. It could have technically been someone that Victor knew well and actually knew personally, and then it would have got really awkward. Now, of course, that wasn't the case, but I just thought about that. So it's good to look. So I do think the security guard or bodyguard or whatever they worded to Victor Yes, he overreacted. I think he could have just sort of looked quickly to try to assess the situation as I think a good security detail slash bodyguard will do. You will kind of assess quickly and survey what's needed next, right? So even presidents, when they have Secret Service, they will allow you to come up to the president and shake their hand. Now they're looking at you. If you watch when presidents speak at the State of the Union or at an event, you'll notice they will, like, I remember when Obama was president and he would be speaking somewhere, they would let you shake Obama's hand, but they would be kind of eyeing you up and down, but they would let you sort of hi to him and he would reach out. So you can still have interaction. So I think it would have been okay for him to just at least look at her for a second to see who exactly am I mushing in the face or pushing my hand back to. So I looked at the video. Her glasses kind of appeared to fly off of her face. And she, from what I could see, again, you're just sort of seeing the back of her head push back. She looked a little stunned. Someone was filming it, and there you could sort of see her. She looked very startled, and Victor and his security, they're still walking. So I think that, yeah, it probably was embarrassing. Her ego's probably more wounded than anything else. She'll be fine. It was very embarrassing, which she said in a post. She did come out and sort of talked about the situation in a social media post. Like, she is embarrassed. She hopes that the security and Victor, they can come out, apologize, or talk. And I hope so too, for the sake of everybody. I think that Victor, there's a lesson for him though, that I think, and it's a shame because he's going to have to learn this quickly. He's thrust into the spotlight. He hasn't played one NBA game yet. This 19-year-old kid from France has to learn about paparazzi very quickly in the media. And again, 19-year-old, just got picked to be, player for the San Antonio Spurs, probably possibly future megastar, maybe one day, who knows. He's not there yet, but he's already in the news. He's learning very quickly. You're going to have unfortunately, when something is connected to you and you're getting famous, it's going to be connected to you. So even though the security did it, whose name are we hearing? Victor. We don't know this name is the security guard. We know Victor's name. Victor's name is all over trending right now. He's famous for a reason that he doesn't want to be famous for, in connection to Britney Spears claiming she was almost, assaulted by one of his bodyguards or security detail. That's not what he wants to be known for. He wants to be known as an NBA great in his first year of the San Antonio Spurs. He doesn't want to have anything to do with this. He's probably very pissed off right now to know that this whole thing happened. So he's going to have to learn very quickly, when you're famous, when somebody around you does something wrong, bad, or misconstrued, unfortunately, you're going to still take the fall for it. It doesn't matter that he's not the one that actually, backhanded Britney. He's connected to it, so it's kind of dragging his name through the mud. That's the issue. So I don't know if he has a public relations or a PR person, but they need to get him at a PR person immediately and explain how this works, because he can't have something like this happen again, because you'll have people threatening to sue you, or you file a police report, as Britney is claiming she's, filed a police report claiming to do, right? So I think that's the lesson for Victor. I feel bad that he has to kind of learn it in this way. I don't think he wanted to learn it like this, but he's learning. So lesson for him. Now that you're getting famous, you're seeing what fame is like. You haven't even touched the professional court yet in terms of an actual game, and you're famous for a reason you didn't necessarily want to be like that. And for Britney, I think the lesson is, you got to be careful, because I know she meant well. It was completely innocent. I think that she just wanted to say hi to him and speak to him. And I get it. I get where she's coming from. I feel bad that it seems like Britney's been through a lot of things in the last 15 years. She's been through almost a lot of trauma. So I mean, at one point reading the article about this and goes, geez, hasn't this girl been through enough? So yes, I feel bad for Britney. I do. I feel bad for her to a certain extent. I'm like, oh my God, something else, it seems like there's stuff going on. I sort of just feel like, Jesus, what else is going on? For Britney, and this is something she's going to have to remember when she was mega famous. I remember years ago, okay, a long time ago, I seen Britney's bodyguards get pretty kind of a little rough with people. Now, she may not recall this very well, but I remember. I don't know how her memory's going back to that time, but I'm telling you right now, Britney's security was a little rough sometimes too. Now, I don't know if she was completely aware of it, but just like with Victor, it doesn't matter. It's connected to her. It's her security. All the blame's going to fall on her, just like it's falling on Victor right now. Fairly unfairly, Victor is almost getting blamed for this. Fairly unfairly, if Britney's security guard back in the day had sort of backhanded or backslapped a fan trying to touch her, Britney would have got the blame. Okay, and if they would have tried to sue Britney or the security, you see what I'm saying? So she is mega famous as she used to be, so famous. She's got to understand when you're famous and people try to touch you, the security may overreact or get a little bit too aggressive. I've seen lots of celebrities with what I would call very overly aggressive security, not just Victor. Um, Now, I'm not saying I've seen them necessarily. I don't know if I've seen them slap people, but I've seen them push them out of the way rather roughly. And this is Britney's security. They got kind of rough. I don't think Britney necessarily wanted them to get rough. I think she just wasn't really thinking about it. I think she was just like, you know what, they're my security. They're here to protect me. That's what she was thinking. And I bet that's what Victor was thinking. They're here to protect me. He trusted them, just like Britney trusted hers. So Britney was more famous than Victor ever probably, will be. So she's got to try to remember back in that time. That's what the security can overreact, unfortunately, right? So I think one thing possibly to amend this, and I know this may, ruffle some people's feathers, is possibly, you know, because I have a feeling he's going to run into her again. Brittany lives in Vegas, and I don't know if he was traveling or what was going on, why he was there. But the point is, Victor's going to run into Brittany again. By the way, they're going to run into each other, and it's going to be awkward. It'd be kind of nice, maybe he doesn't have to. This is, my little suggestion. Reach out to her, call her, and just talk to her, and just, say, you know what, I did not mean for this to happen. That was not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry what my security did. I've talked to him about it, and I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't know it was you, and I apologize. I'm sorry if you feel hurt, if you're hurt or traumatized. I didn't want my security. I don't want my security to hurt anybody. They're just there to protect me, and they clearly reacted too strongly. I'm sorry for that. He could maybe do that. And I think it will go a long way. I'm sure Brittany would be open to that. I don't think Brittany is a mean person. I don't think she's trying to embarrass him. I don't think she was out to get him or get him in a situation or catch him up in something. Some people are having these weird conspiracy theories already saying, oh, they're trying to make it look like something bigger and turn this into something. No, I think Brittany really was just innocently coming up to him to really just say hi and speak with him, because she, in her social media post, said she'd seen him earlier that day at a different restaurant or another place she was at. And she knew that, I think she was aware of who he was, right? I guess Brittany watches NBA too. Brittany must watch the NBA too. And she was aware of the NBA draft. And I guess she just wanted to say a few words like, hey, just wanted to say hi. And I'm Britney Spears, and again, I think her intentions were completely innocent. I think she was so startled. And I was even startled when I saw it. I thought, wow, he definitely was a little aggressive there. So I think maybe he could do that. Some people may not like that idea and go, well, why should he apologize? I get it. It's just, I think that she would be open to it. It would smooth things over. And who knows, when the San Antonio Spurs play, the ironic thing is, what if Brittany just shows up for the game and cheer him on? That would be the funniest thing ever if they just make amends. It'd be great. But just my thoughts on that again. Like I said, I feel bad for both sides. I think it was just two people with two different worlds, and their worlds kind of collided. You got Brittany from her world just coming in very innocently, like wanting to come up and say a few words to him. And I think he, being a 19-year-old kid from France, just drafted to, one of the, to the San Antonio Spurs, a future possible NBA star. I think was he the number one? I think he was the number one draft pick. Yeah, he's the number one draft pick. So he's being thrust into the spotlight in a way that not for the reasons that he wanted to be. He doesn't even get to enjoy being the number one draft pick anymore without this coming up. So I think they're both kind of like in the situation where like their worlds kind of collided. You have early 2000s meeting this decade of the millennium, right? You now we're 2023. It's not 2002 anymore. And in his world, he didn't know who she was. But I know one thing. If Victor didn't know who Britney Spears was, he knows now. He knows now. Trust me. He knows who the hell she is, and he's never going to forget now. But just wanted to offer, some quick thoughts in there. Like I said, I think this can be smoothed over. It's something that, we can get over quickly. I think the best thing to do would be for him maybe just to reach out and they could just speak. Because like I said, I think they're both good people. I think Britney Spears at heart is a good person. And I think that Victor is a good person as well. Just maybe speak and just kind of close that out. But just wanted to share my thoughts next. Be back with another one.